We're live in 5, 4, 3, 2. We are live. So continuing the real estate workout recap. Lee and I, Lee's in Seattle, Rick's in Denver, both realtors. I'm dressed for working out because we work out our mind and body every morning at 7:15 Pacific on Clubhouse. And this is our recap because Clubhouse is not recorded. So Lee, you were talking about doing the 30. Tell me a little bit more about the 30 because you have 5 listing appointments today.
I do. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy day for me. So I've got, so, every day, I do a thing called the daily 30, which I think actually for newer agents would be really, really good, but it's essentially, it is 5. This is all contacts. So I want to contact 5 for sale by owners. I want to contact 5 for rent by owners. I want to contact 5 expireds. 5 in my niche, which my particular niche is multi-unit properties, anywhere from like a 2-unit up to a 10-unit. 5 referral partners. So whether it be like divorce attorney, probate lawyer, financial advisor, mortgage professional, anybody who you can get a referral from. And then 5 in my sphere or past client or in my database. So I actually made I can show you this. I made a big thing that sort of shows that. Let's see if I can get this in front of the camera. But that's
nice.
This is my daily 30.
Raise it up.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. You can see it. Yeah. So that's kind of my that just helps, like, every day that just kind of it just gives me clarity on what I'm doing as far as what I'm trying to accomplish during my prospecting time. Because I feel like a lot of newer agents, they, maybe you'll call through the for rent by owners or their first sale by owners that are new that day, which may be, 4 or 5 or something. And then you're like, okay, what do I do now? And there's sort of this, I know like a lot of agents are like, oh, there's kind of like this awkward silence. And they're like, okay, well, I called everyone I was supposed to and nothing happened. So,
oh, wait, I could check my Facebook. I could check my text messages. I could check my email. I could
creative avoidance.
React to inbound stuff.
Yes.
As opposed to control your time.
Right.
So what kind of prospecting time do you have set up every day?
So, typically I am prospecting 8 to 11 in the mornings. And then depending on how many appointments I had that day, I will also do some evenings, 5 to 7. Those are my best times. I mean, the best time to reach people is actually probably that evening time. But as they say in the business, you really need to be prospecting in the morning, 5 days a week. That's your key time, and you're trying to hit metrics in that time.
Robocalls blow up my phone at 4 o'clock every day. Sales calls, like I'm getting car warranties, Hilton Hotel, like all the spam calls.
Oh yeah,
4:15, man, they hammer me. They're like,
oh yeah.
It's right before dinner. And I'm
right.
like,
I actually heard a funny joke the other day. It was like, when you think about how persistent you need to be in business, think about the people who are selling car warranties and be like them.
Yeah, I think the owner of the Evergreen did not get the car warranty. That's why he got stuck in the Suez, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's something that is grueling. If you do the daily 30 5 days a week, and if you do it 5 days a week, you will guaranteed have 2 preview appointments every day that week. I mean, without question. Like, that's just a reality. At least in my business, I can't do that prospecting schedule and not get at least 1 to 2 previews per day. So that means you're essentially touring 10 homes a week.
Yeah. And a preview is just stopping by and adding value, right?
Correct.
Like you told them, like, hey, is it for a home valuation? Or are you telling them, hey, I just want to see what your home looks like? Or what are you providing as value for them to actually open the door?
So essentially, I am asking if I can preview the home and walk through the home and make some recommendations for what they can do to get it sold. I mean, it varies a little bit on your lead type. Like if you're looking at a for sale by owner, that's my tagline. If you're looking at an expired, then you can make recommendations on what to do in the future. So you can see how it was listed before, and then maybe, give some ideas as far as how to move it, that sort of thing. and then it'll vary. Like on a for rent by owner, it's typically kind of more of a CMA type of a presentation where you might run some research for them, send it to them, and then the preview is really about putting eyes on the property to see what it really offers. Because like I did one actually 2 days ago. I talked to a for rent by owner and those are amazing leads only because I'm literally calling on an apartment for rent. Okay, so not exciting, right? Well, it's a triplex and it's worth like in my market that's worth 1.2 million. I do a CMA for her. She texts me afterwards and says, "Yeah, I'm kind of interested. I talked to her yesterday, and I'm going to get in there like next week."
Nice.
So I'm going to walk it. I think one out of the three is currently vacant. I can walk the outside and I can walk the unit and get an idea of the finishes. And I think I have a pretty good shot of listing that.
Yeah, I'm scheduled to close on a for rent by owner on Friday. And when I originally talked to them, they're like, no, not interested at all. Wouldn't even let me come over, right? Tenant won't let you in.
Right.
And then, kind of kept at it a little bit. And finally they're like, well, maybe, what's the bare, I'm kind of like, well, what's the bare minimum? It would actually move the needle. Everybody will move for a price, right? Everybody will sell for a price. So they gave me a price and I said, all right, well, if I can get that price, would you be interested? Right. And because I ran the models and I saw, it's probably 25 over the model, but right now things are selling for 25 to 50 over the model. So I'm like, great. So I kind of also, just said, hey, look, pay for performance, right? Like if I can't hit that number, I'll take a little bit of a cut. I'll make it work for you. Mm-hmm. And that got them intrigued. It was something different, right? Pay for performance, right? Like you actually have to perform to get paid. But I set parameters that I thought I could actually hit, right?
Yeah.
And so eventually got the listing. Could not do any interior showings.
That's difficult in a multi-unit,
right? Yeah. So it was. We went under contract on it once, fell out because I couldn't get financing. Went again, and now we're scheduled to close Friday. But it was one of those things where they're like, wow, once they actually got inside and they saw the condition of their own property, they were appalled, right? Because the tenant had destroyed the place.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, we don't want to hold on to this property anymore because look at how much stuff we have to fix.
Right.
It's probably best as a scrape.
Right? Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so now we are selling to someone who's going to remodel it. But the best play on this property would have been to scrape it and build a $2 million home and really profit as an investor. Right. But for rent by owners are pretty interesting that way.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. I was calling them like maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and lately I've been having amazing luck calling. Like I talked to a guy who has a 42 unit building. And he's like answering the phone. I was like shocked. I was like, don't you have, I figured he would have management, and he's like doing it himself. He's like, no. And he's only owned it for like, I think like 18 months or something. So he's not ready to really look at selling yet, but that's a great contact,
Oh yeah.
In my market, that's probably a $5 million building or probably more. It's probably like a $7 million building.
Yeah. Well, you just reminded me, I had a client I was shopping. I spent a lot of time with about a year and a half ago. And he owns 25 properties outright. And the thing is, or 25 units, 12 properties. And we were trying to reposition that as a 1031 exchange because he's like, hey, I want the step up in basis from inheritance when it goes to my kids, but I'm kind of tired of managing 25 units because he's 70 years old. He's doing it all himself. And yeah, I've got another point on that. Just 1 second. So anyway, we started working. We found one building, right? We were like, hey, you can hire a property manager. It's one building, it's one asset to pass on, and it's in a prime location. And why don't we do a roll up of all your investment properties into one apartment building?
Yeah.
And it would have worked, but his property's worth about 6, and the building was worth 8. And he's like, I don't want to take on a $2 million mortgage. But the property manager actually talked him out of it. He's like, rents are about to go down. It was pre-COVID. But he was predicting the end of the rental market in Denver. That was the property manager I recommended. I'm like, oh my God, you just talked me out of an $14 million worth of deals.
Well, and if you're doing a 1031, it seems like then he's kind of splitting hairs only because you have to redeploy all the capital. That's kind of rule number one.
Right. But he didn't want a $2 million mortgage in what he was told was a declining rent market, right? He was going to have vacancies in his mind.
Yeah, it's kind of a head in the sand.
But what I should do right now is go do fresh valuations on those 12 properties, the 25
Exactly.
units, send him a report saying, hey, you were worth 6 before COVID.
Right.
You're worth 7.5 now.
Right.
Here are some options if you wanted to do that program again.
Mm-hmm.
And find him a new $7.5-8 million building for sale.
It's a no-brainer deal. I mean, it is. I mean, all the way around. You know.
So thank you for waking me back up. I might go find $14 million worth of business just because of this phone call.
There you go.
Everybody watching this video, you can come up with a $14 million idea in under 10 minutes and 30 seconds. But here's another thing though, and this is a gem that he told me one time. He said, Rick, everybody calls me asking if I want to sell. Right? 25 units, 12 properties. Why would I want to sell? I bought these things when they were worth like 75, they're worth 500. The taxes would just kill me.
Right.
You know what? No one ever asks me, Rick. And I said, what? He said, do you want to buy some more?
Right.
You're obviously a very successful investor. It's working for you, right? He was making like $30,000 a month in just passive income off his rent because they were all owned outright.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it's working well for me. Why doesn't anybody ever ask if I want to buy more?
Right.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what a great way to approach an investor.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's looking to sell, right? But if there are those cash buyers and you have all these absentee owners, right? You have a list of 54,000 absentee owners who all might like to dip their toe in the water and get another one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And yeah, it's more work being a buyer's agent, and everybody's like, oh, I'll just buy when the market settles down. Well, it's going to settle down 10% higher.
Right.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
If you don't buy today, you're just going to pay 10% more tomorrow. I mean, it's like, okay, the market settled down. You have less competition. You just paid an extra $100,000. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. I think that whole argument's kind of been pretty much debunked over the last few months. Like, oh, I'll buy when it settles down. It's like, okay, well, keep waiting.
That is, yeah, it's, first of all, it's not going to happen. It's not settling down anytime soon. We have like less than 2 months of inventory in our entire MLS.
Right.
And it's been that way for 6 years, right? Like I did that chart last night. I'm like, holy cow, we have been going in a seller's market for 6 straight years.
Yeah.
And we still have less than 2 months of inventory.
Yeah.
In some neighborhoods, 2 weeks. And I think there was a national stat I saw yesterday, 36% of homes in the country sold in less than 24 hours.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Which to me also means the listing agent's not doing a good job.
Yeah.
Because if you're selling, and do you know why, right?
I mean, you're talking about like on a pricing level, or?
Well, yeah, because if you can sell in 24 hours, you didn't get all the buyers that wanted to see that. And it's eyeballs and buyers that drive price, right? The more buyers you have, the higher the price you can get. Right. The more interested buyers, right? But the more people who actually are interested overall, you take the top of the funnel. Here are your interested buyer, here's your pool of buyers. Here's your interested buyers. Here are the ones that write offers. And you end up with 2 on top. But you have to figure out the 2 on top.
Right.
And they might not have seen it yet, right? In 24 hours.
Right.
I find realtors are not looking at the coming soon listings. We can go coming soon for 2 weeks in the MLS in Denver. Can you in Seattle?
Absolutely not. In fact, it's a violation.
Well, we have an actual tag coming soon.
Yeah, we don't have anything. In fact, you can't even be on social media that way.
Yeah. Oh, I got spanked for that one time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I said, hey, because I went on a listing appointment, and I'm like, I don't have the listing yet, but I'm trying to troll, right? I'm like, hey, I've got, I know of a little bungalow coming up for sale. Boom. The next day, the MLS wrote me and said, you have 24 hours to put that in the MLS, or we're going to fine you. I'm like, I didn't even post an address. Yeah. It's fictitious, right?
Oh, yeah. You don't even have to post an address. Here in my market, it's like, can't do it.
Yeah.
I think they really clamped down on that about a year or two ago. I think.
Well, with the clear cooperation policy, which I have really mixed reviews about.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can take a pocket listing and market it within your own firm. Mm-hmm. So you can have coming soon at Sotheby's. You can have coming soon at EXP. You can have coming soon at Remax. Coming soon at Keller Williams, but you can't have coming soon if you're an independent broker.
Right.
Like it was blatant bias against a small guy.
Right. Right.
Which I think is, to protect the 5 home sellers every year that actually don't want their listing broadcast.
Right.
But in clear cooperation.
Right.
We'll sell it off market within our own firm.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, tomorrow, because we've got 3 seconds left, tomorrow we're going to talk about the tech for the dinosaurs. That was
yes, we need to talk about that. This is something that's been coming up in my world a lot lately, and that's a good one.
Tech for dinosaurs tomorrow. I'm putting it in the comments. Awesome. All right. I'll talk to you later. Good luck with your 5 appointments today.
All right, will do. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.